So as far as format tonight, I was going to ask a couple of softball questions here of Corey, let him answer, kind of kick off a natural dialogue. And then for all of you who would like to ask him questions about how he's been able to build a niche of luxury flips, you're free to ask those. And then after that, we're going to segue into our normal why we're here, who we are, what our goals are, what we're here to accomplish. I ask that you keep that to under 2 minutes, no telling your whole life story. And all right, so, but we'll get it popping here. So I'd like to introduce Corey Wright.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, let's get it. Hey, this is dope.
He's a little bit famous on social media here.
Yeah, right.
And so I reached out to him because I liked what he was doing, and I thought it was an interesting take and something that maybe we could add a little value to the Minnesota Real Estate Club by, talking about how he's done it. So if any of you have seen our podcast or any of those excerpts, I'd asked him the question, what's the most money you've ever made on a single flip? He said nearly $500,000, which is fucking wild.
Hey.
I think all of us would like to get a little bit of a taste of that if they could. So the very first question that I have for Corey is, how does one establish relationships with a seller in order to be able to buy these properties, presumably off market, and to be able to make this happen? So could you give us a little bit of
Well, first, before we get to that,
Yeah.
man, let's give it up for Ryan for putting this together, the Minnesota Real Estate Club. Come on, man.
Thank you.
Man, this is what life is about right here. Everyone in this room obviously wants to be an investor, wants to do something, wants to create wealth. And communities like this and being in rooms where you can ask questions and talk to other people, man, this is just so powerful. So the second thing I need you to do is turn to your neighbor and say, let's get that money, bro. Let's get it. Come on. Come on. Hey.
We're getting that money. We're here to get money.
All right, now we got the room's a little warm now. The room's a little warm. Hey, let's love it. So how do you develop relationships with sellers? Well, that's just in life. You got to develop relationship with realtors, wholesalers, sellers, everything. But you can't go in a room with like the sales hat on. You can't go in the room thinking transactionally. You can't go in the room thinking about money. What am I going to get out of this? You have to go in the room thinking, how can I add value? How can I plant a seed, water it, let it grow, and let the fruit come from that tree? So when I go into a seller, I try and analyze, how can I bring value to this seller without being salesy? So sometimes they just want to know what their house is worth. Yeah, I know they want to sell it. I know the house is trash. I know the windows are broken. I see all the junk around here. I know they can't fix it up. But right now I'm in the value add stage, which is, hey, let me give you free game and tell you what your house is really worth as is. Then I'm going to say, I'm going to show you, if I were to fix it up, this is what I would do. These are the things I would fix. This is where I put money. And if I were to do it, this is what you could sell it for on the open market. And bring that value, break down the walls. And most of the time, once I do that, they'll give me the real story. Hey, man, I'm divorced. Husband left me. I don't know what to do, man. Just take it off my hands.
So what type of problems are you typically solving for a seller?
Yeah, on the investment side, man, everyone in here, I bet you, has owned some type of flip, some type of property. For the most part, they just want a quick, quiet sale. And a lot of us in here are licensed realtors, and I get it. You want to go to open market and list it. But the reality is there's a big segment of the population that they just want nobody to know what their house looks like, how destructive it is. They just want it off the books. That's it.
Are you getting most of these introductions through referral partners or direct to the people who own the houses?
Yes, and yes.
All of it? Yeah.
All of it. I get a lot of direct sellers hitting me up, a lot of social media leads. Realtors tend to be some of my biggest clients, actually, that bring me stuff. A lot of realtors bring me stuff, wholesalers, and then I do have a marketing team that sends out all kinds of mailers and dialing for dollars and all that trickery stuff. But building relationships with realtors has probably been one of the biggest things I've been able to do to get off market deals. And it goes back to what I was talking earlier, is guess what I do with all those people? Come on now, participation. I just gave you the cheat code on what I do with the sellers.
You build
So what do I
relationships.
do with the realtors?
Same seat, same thing.
Add value.
Right.
So a realtor hits me up. Hey, grandma's house over here. I don't know how to price it. You seem to buy a lot of these. Will you come tell me how much grandma's house is worth? I show up with that realtor who's a licensed realtor. I'm not trying to take their client. I say, hey, Ryan, this house, grandma's house, is worth 200 grand. If you put it on the open market, you can get an investor to pay 150. Go get it. And I add value. So it's always about adding value to the situation and not chasing money and not having a realtor on your forehead or investor on your forehead where they can see that coming from a mile away. Because the minute they sniff that out, it's over. It's a wrap.
When you get a deal referred to you from a realtor, are they typically getting paid their like what they would get if they put it on the MLS type of commission?
They actually get paid more. They actually
so?
get paid more because I'm coming in as an unrepresented buyer. So then that agent has the opportunity, if they want, to get both sides. They can get the listing commission and the buy commission. A lot of times they structure a deal where instead of getting their 3% on the sales side or 2.5%, they'll do like 5% or 4%. So they get a bigger rip and everybody wins. The seller gets it sold, the agent gets a bigger commission, and I get to make the bag when I flip it.
Wonderful. So I've got other questions, but does anybody else want to interject here with something?
Oh, go ahead.
Corey,
Yeah.
why can't I find investors for rehabs, but I can't find investors for new construction?
How can you find investors for new construction?
Yes. But I can find for rehabs, but not for brand new.
So like, how do I find houses I can tear down to build?
Or a land for with the house on.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, I have 2 properties going right now on Lake Minnetonka that I'm tearing down to build. So it was the same thing. It was brought to me by a realtor. You know, now land is a little tricky because we're running out of it in the city. So if you want to go out far, you can get it. But it's the same thing. It's finding people who are in that space. So if you want to find land or find stuff that you can build, you need to reverse engineer it. Hey, who are the agents that are actually dealing with a lot of new construction and land deals? And you go to them, meet with them, talk with them, build that value with them, and have them to start sending you stuff. That's what you want to do. Yeah. So does that kind of help?
Yes.
Because land is a little different. You know, there's not a lot of land players out
Check in
here.
with Anthony after the speaking.
Anybody else? All right, fire it up. Let's go.
All right. So what kind of a team does it take for you to pull this off? You've already mentioned realtors. Who else comprises the all-star team to be able to make this shit happen?
Now, which part?
Like you need a team. Okay, so obviously I'm leading you to say that you need you know a lender partner, you need a construction partner.
Let's
you know,
let's
like,
start with the money.
Like who's your team and how do you
let's
get that
start with
done?
the money. You have to have as many possible levers as possible. So I know my guy Matty B's in the room. He does a lot of fix and flip loans, but you can't just have Matty B. Like you can't just be like, well, that's my one guy, and that's it on the financial stuff. You have to have as many levers as possible and in different segments. You need to have multiple hard money people. You got to have multiple commercial financing people, multiple regular loan people. And if you're really lucky and you network good enough, multiple private funding people. You have to build that up so that no matter what, when you get in on a project or you're analyzing a project or you need money on the back end, you have a lever to pull, even if it's a HELOC on a property that you already own. So part of it is building up a big team. Then the contractors, we got a contract. Who, you the contractor? And
Lauren's a contractor
and
too.
Contractor, yeah. Same thing, no offense, but I gotta have like 7 of everybody. I mean, I gotta have 7 plumbers, 7 electricians, 7 framers, because you know, construction is tough. Numbers change, values change. Sometimes you're busy, sometimes you don't show up. As far as the design on these properties, the design actually comes to me. So when it's down to actually running a project, I run every single project. I do all the design, I pick out all the tile, all the color combos. I used to hire people to do that and spent a lot of money doing it, but they didn't have my vision. And especially once you get to the higher level flips where I'm at, the design and the style is absolutely crucial. On a lower end flip that you're selling for 400,000 or 500,000, it can be a 7 or 8. out of 10. You know, you might be able to get away with some gray floors and white walls. Hey, I got granite in here. Good for you, bro. And you might be able to get it, right? But on a $2.5 million house on Lake Minnetonka, you better have some dope wallpaper, some really cool tile features, all of that. So that's me. Sales, obviously real estate. I am a broker, so I do the sales stuff. But I have a marketing team. I have VAs. Oh, here we go.
Well, on that point, all the stuff you're gonna do, where do you save money and where do you splurge? Like, what are the, like you mentioned the wallpaper.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Are you going to like Amazon and getting some, like, are you just high end everything, or like where do you skimp and where do you not?
Yeah, so that one is better off if you come to one of my projects. So hey, plug, let's come to one of the projects and I'll show you guys. But it really depends on the house.
Okay.
So you go into a house and you have a really big great room, right? You want to spend a lot of money on a cool fireplace feature, wood feature in the ceiling, something when they walk in, right? That's where you want to spend your money. So then maybe you shrink the budget on, say, the basement. Maybe the basement, you're not doing the cool fireplace and you're doing some standard subway tile in a bathroom. And you're just dressing it up with a cool vanity. And the cool thing about tile is the number one spot where you can save a lot of money is through tile. Because taking an inexpensive tile and just doing a really cool design with it makes it look super custom. And they're like, oh, that tile job was amazing. And they don't know the tile was like $2 a square foot, you know, versus new build where they're like $20 a square foot. Kitchen cabinets is another one. You don't have to go super custom built on site, get them sprayed, do all of that. You don't have to do that. There is cabinets out there that are like a mid-grade that pass as something high-end. So there's a lot of places that you have to, not just can you, but have to like pull back on the budget.
For what it's worth, Adam, when I used to be a flipper, I had a little bit of a rule of thumb. For every $100,000 in value that house is going to be worth at the end, I needed to have like one wow feature. So if it was a $500,000 house, I needed to have at least 5 cool things that they could mention in that house. So it'd have to be, yeah.
I might take that hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Because it was helped me to realize like you can do basic on a $200,000-$300,000 house, like just having, you know, quartz countertops and stainless steel. That's enough for $200,000-$300,000.
Yeah,
But once you get to $500,000, it's like maybe you should put in a cubby in the entryway, and maybe you should do some wood beams in the living room or whatever.
Yeah.
And then once you get to $1 million, then I'd have to come up with
a lot more.
A lot more.
You gotta have like 10 or 15.
I mean, 850 is the highest I've ever done on a flip, and it was on accident.
Yeah, and it's stuff like a lot of accent walls. Like right now, wallpaper is really big, and wallpaper is affordable. You don't have to spend a lot on wallpaper, but it really dresses up a bathroom, a bedroom, a basement area, or like how this room has your wainscoting going up, making this part right here wallpaper. You know, when I first walked in, I was like, man, I should have wallpapered that.
Instead of mustard, yeah.
Yeah, light fixtures. That's another way. So what I do on light fixtures, this is a really good hack, is I go to Restoration Hardware, I go to Galleria Edina, and I go to all those spots, and they're dope, man. They got some really cool stuff. And I go up to it, and I look at it, and I'm like, man, this fixture's cool. And I put a little price tag down that says like $22,000, and I'm like, ha, yeah, right. And you know what I do? There's this brilliant thing called Google. And I go on my phone, and I type in bronze, shade, Restoration Hardware, blah, 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 and I get like 20 counterfeits that look just like it for a fraction of the cost. And I put that up in my great room, and people come in, they're like, oh, that's that Restoration Hardware one for 20 G's. Oh, I got this call, I don't know, gotta go. But, I mean, not that you're like selling the funk, but it looks just like it, and it's really nice. So that's another good hack that I can just hit you.
It's on when you flip the switch, right?
Oh, and it works. Turn it on and
It's all made in China, it's fine.
Because what people don't realize, and maybe you guys do, is for like cabinets, for instance. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's really only like 2 to 3 cabinet makers in the US. All they do is get them from the same warehouses and just rebrand them. And maybe they do a little shave here, little shave there, but they're coming from the same spots. So I don't care what your brand is of cabinet, I can trace it back to the same warehouse as one that's half the cost. And it's the same with light fixtures, the same with a lot of this stuff. So, I mean, I could go on a rabbit hole with that, but go ahead.
I agree with that. What are the what are the most important things to know before you consider buying a flip? Like your quick
Man,
list.
right away, you got to be about that life. You want to get into a flip, you better be about it. This isn't a side hustle. This isn't just like I bought this flip and I'm gonna go chill at my main gig or go back to being real estate. Like you better be about that life. Because that flip, if you aren't there managing it, that flip goes from a moneymaker to a lemon. It goes from excitement to why did I buy that? It goes to this is gonna make my year to this just broke my year. So first off, you better be about that life and you better have a plan. Again, don't chase the money. People say, I want to get into flips. I want to get into real estate investing because I want to make
Money. Yeah.
Let's try that again. I want to get into investing. I
Money.
want to do this thing because I want to make
Money.
That's the wrong thing. We don't want to chase money. So you got to have a game plan, a real game plan that says, hey, what's my buy box based on where I'm at financially? What do I want to accomplish? What's my expectations? I got to know that going into it. I got to know what my costs are going to be, and I have to have a design plan from day one. So if you don't have a design plan and you're like, I don't know what to do, the next step is you better go find somebody that's doing it at a high level, doing it the way you want to go, and say, hey, Ryan, how did you do that flip? Can you show me how? Coach me how to do it. Help me come up with a game plan. I don't know if that was a quick version, but that was the medium quick version. There you go.
I appreciate it. Does anybody else want to ask any questions? Anybody in the room?
What
You
was
go.
your background that you ended up doing this? Like, were you a designer? Were you a contractor? Did you grow up in a home that...
My background was that I was around the wrong people, made a ton of terrible decisions, saw a lot of people get killed, died doing the wrong stuff. I got caught up in that and thought I was chasing money, doing stuff on the street mentality. And I realized real quick that the real wealthy people that didn't have death and destruction in their life, the real wealthy people, you know what the number one thing they had?
Real estate.
Real estate. So I started chasing real estate. So from literally day one, I got into real estate. So I had a mini background in construction, doing like sheetrock when I was trying to do the Scared Straight. And they were like, hey, you need to go do construction, get off these streets. And I got on properties, started doing sheetrock. And I was the kid that was like, hey, what's the wood floor guy doing? What's the tile guy doing? What's the owner? What is he doing with this? And the owner would say, hey, we're gonna rent it or we're gonna sell it. I started putting two and two together and I got my license right away and got into real estate.
So you went from small to...
Yeah, so everyone's hero journey, I went from trash, small, failure, foreclosure, bankruptcy, all of that, learned from that and built up from there.
And I need to get them scared straight.
And get the scare straight.
Do you guys know who Dick Enrico is, the founder of Second Wind Sports? I knew him from back in the day when I was a business broker, and I heard him speak one time, and he filed bankruptcy 9 times before he got
Made
Second
it.
Wind off the ground.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, that's persistence right there.
And he made that into
That's
a
more than
$1
Donald
million
Trump.
company.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's all you take to get.
Yeah.
What was his slogan? Is
Uh,
why buy new?
when slightly used will do.
Slightly used will do.
I went to a dinner with him like 3 months ago, and he was falling asleep at the dinner. It was kind of he's getting up there in,
Yeah.
in age. So,
Yeah.
nice guy though. Anybody else in the room have any questions? Yeah.
Oh, we got 2. Let's go. Rapid fire. Come on.
We'll go with Will first here. I think it was slightly earlier than you.
Y'all can duke it out too, you know.
Nobody wants to smoke with Isaiah.
I'm wondering for your flips on Minnetonka, when and how do you start marketing, looking for buyers?
Oh man, that's a great question. When do I start marketing for buyers?
And do you sell it off market sometimes as well?
All right, so the first part, when do I start marketing for buyers? Let me ask a question. When do you guys think I start marketing for buyers?
2 months ago.
Right away.
Right after you buy it, yeah.
You all are wrong.
Before you buy it.
The minute I'm like, I'm buying this and I got it signed, I'm like, who can I get to buy it? Man, come on. The minute I sign that PA, where's my PA?
What
I
you got-
signed that bad boy and
you
they
got-
say yes, I'm like, I got to
Okay.
find the money first. Oh, but I got to find the buyer. Man, I start that process like right away.
So once you have
Like
an equitable
literally
interest.
like immediately I'm marketing it. Obviously social media, following the journey of it being built and doing all that, that's marketing in itself. And then I'm constantly going out to agents, talked about it, full circle moment, all those relationships I built. Hey Ryan, man, I got this really dope off-market Lake Minnetonka property. Why don't you come check it out? I don't know what it's gonna list for. Will you come help me analyze what it's worth? Hey, he just got an invite to an off-market really dope flip. Maybe it goes nowhere, maybe it does. And then I do a ton of events at the property, both for realtors, both for families. So I do this thing at every flip I do, every luxury flip I do. I host an event around a boxing and poker. And I invite a ton of people, and I get anywhere from like 40 to 60 people to show up. And literally, I cater the whole thing. We play poker, we watch the game, and we just sit and talk at this really dope flip. And I get a ton of traffic from that. I do a lot of off-market stuff with realtors, events like that. So yes, marketing for buyers is instantly. Do I ever sell them off-market? Yes and no. I will sell them off-market as far as contractually. But I tell everyone in that space, I'm gonna do the dog and pony show. So hey, we can come up with an agreement on a price, but I'm gonna go through the whole thing. I'm gonna do the video, I'm gonna do the social media, I'm gonna do the agents, I'm gonna do all that. And if they're cool with that, I'll sell it to them off market. If not, I'm still gonna do the dog and pony show. Did that help?
Yeah, thank you.
I think what he mentioned there is really important to his branding, right? Like having these parties, having the social media, documenting everything regardless of how it gets sold. It's all about telling the story that he's the luxury flip guy. And I think that's a big part of his brand, yeah.
Oh, we skipped somebody though.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Let's go. We'll hit Isaiah first. He was second. You're right.
You don't want to mess with him, bro. You don't want that smoke.
My question is, when you're going into a flip, are you pushing ARVs in the neighborhood? Like, are you setting new comps? Then I have a second question. What is your kind of bread and butter luxury flip?
Yeah.
What's your buy box?
So am I setting new price points and what's my buy box? That's the question, right?
Yeah.
No, I try not to set a new price point. I try and be actually under what the market's saying. So again, you're holding a $2 million note, a $1 million note. You don't want to be the first one trying to like dangle out over that bridge like, I think I got this, you know, and you're just waiting for that buyer because you're going to fall. So like if the market says this is a $2 million ARV, then I have to buy it right. Instead of trying to push the value up and be like, man, I think I get 2.2 because of my design and because I think I'm so great. No. If 2 million's the one, I want to try and get 1.9. I want my numbers to work at 1.9. Then I go back to be like, I have to buy it. So if the seller's saying I'm going to sell it to you for $1 million and my numbers say 900, then I got to buy it at 900 or walk away. So no, I don't try and set a new number. Now, if I get multiples, that's how I set the new number. So whenever I'm setting a new number, it's because multiple people came and said I want it, right? So
I think it'd be hard to set a new limit on Minnetonka too.
Yeah. So Lake Minnetonka is a little different because, like, yeah, you ain't setting I'm not even in the class where I'm setting new numbers out there, bro.
The Cargill families or whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing no. What's the one? It's like 62 million or something like that. Yeah.
Ted Bigos or whatever in
Yeah.
the Pillsbury family
Yeah.
in Cargill.
And what was the second part? I forgot it already. It was like, hey, how do you?
What's
Buy
your
box.
bread and butter flip? Like, buy for $1 million, put 300.
My bread and butter flip is the one that fits my ROI and makes money. So I do not have necessarily like I have to be in a certain area. Mine is just going to like, does the value add have a big enough spread? So for me, it's like, hey, if I can sell it for 2 million, can I buy it for $1 million? So that's really what it comes down to.
And put what into it?
That all depends.
3-4, 3-4-5,
Or more.
3-4-7.
Or more. I've done some where I put 300 into it, and I've done some where I put $1 million into it. So I bought one in Edina. I paid $650 for it, and it was right during COVID. And sheets of plywood went from like $20 to like $120. Paint went from what you get it 2x4s were $2, and then they were $10. And I had chopped the roof off of a 1-story that the main level was like 4,000 square feet. So this was a big property. So on that one, I ended up spending almost $1.05 million on the rehab when it was supposed to be like 400.
But the price, but the,
Turn around, is
I mean,
it
you're
still
really
attached
part
when
of
you got
that,
out?
but
I
the
want to see the
price is
backside there. How'd you?
That's
How did I get out is I sold it for 2.2 mil.
So you're okay.
Oh, now it took me 18 months,
Yeah.
but yeah, I left that closing like, man, that sucked, but shoot, I still got a good paycheck. So that one was still 2.2 mil. So that one I was all in for right around like everything, closing costs, everything, right around that 1.8.
All the flips I sold during COVID sold off market.
Yeah.
People came to me.
18 months on a property, 1.6, 1.7 into it. Like, you got to carry that too, right?
Can I have another Bacardi diet with a lime?
A lot of people don't realize that side of things. Like when I'm approving somebody, it's not just, hey, if you got the money to put down and can you get your closing costs and your down payment in, everybody wants to see, how are you not gonna make a mess at the end of this thing? How are you holding this till it's done? Because it's not, hold
Yeah.
it for 18 months.
How's that train not gonna fall off the tracks?
How long did you think you were gonna hold it for?
That one, not 18 months.
Yeah.
My typical hold time on the big ones is 9 months.
Yeah.
So less than a year.
All the things that need to be taken into consideration when you're doing this is, I talk a lot about, and I hear from Corey, is if you don't have a plan, somebody else is going to plan for you. They're gonna spend your money how they choose to if you don't have a plan, and that's
Yeah.
having somebody that's gone through this already.
Yeah,
telling
you
guys
got to
the,
factor all.
secret
Yeah,
sauce
you got
right now,
to
it's,
you got to factor all that in there. So.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to ask, or should we move to the who we are? Yeah.
I got a couple.
Oh,
Yeah, go
here
for
comes
it.
some good ones. I feel it.
I appreciate you inviting me to the projects, but where I grew up, the projects were not a place where we.
Oh, that's where I grew up. Haha, so I know exactly what projects you're talking about.
Okay. So one thing, I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it just for the benefit of folks who might not think of it. I assume on yours, obviously you're offering them both sides. When I'm doing my smaller flips,
Yep.
I'm going to offer that real estate agent both sides, and when I list it, potentially I'll let them list it as well,
Yep.
so that they can eat 3 times,
Yep.
right, on that same deal.
Yep.
Which I just did in Rochester. It goes live tomorrow.
Yep.
Keep your fingers crossed, everybody will go.
Yep.
You're not offering them that, you're licensed, you're doing it yourself.
That is correct, but that same scenario, I'm going through that right now, where I'm literally the person who brought it to me. They got the double 4%, ended up being buyer seller.
Yes.
Now I'm not letting them list it for branding, having my name on it, but essentially I'm giving them a 1% bonus on the back end. Where it's like, hey, if I catch the number that I want to catch, we all can eat. I got you. You just can't be on the thing with me and ride the train with me, but you get the money. So then it's like, they come back and they have more incentive to be like, hey, you're gonna hook me up. Yeah. And I can't be out here saying, hey, I'm making 300, 400, 500,000 on a flip, and they made like their 2% and brought it to me, and then they're like, hey, would you pay me 1% on the back? And I'm like, no. How many times do you think they're gonna call me back?
Right.
Hey, you got another deal that's gonna make me 300 grand? Come on, man.
Yeah.
They're like, man, get this dude. But did you have a second question in there?
Yes. Typically, how long are you in and out? So you close, you're going to work the next day. When you say it's all you, are you the project manager as well? I mean, besides the designer, are you?
Yep, so project manager is like a twofold, right? So like at the end of the day, I have like GCs,
Yes.
obviously, right? But I don't let a GC ever run the project. So like me, yes, it comes down to me. Like I'm the one facilitating, like this is what I want this to look like, this is what I want that to look like. And then yes, I let my GC run with it. I don't let my GC say, hey, we're gonna pick out this tile, this cabinet, this whatever. And design-wise, yeah, man, I do the design now. Now I do have someone that helps me now. They have a really cool AI algorithm, whatever, that's super dope now that I've gotten into.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still up here, starts up here, but now I have someone that can implement it. And they're able to take what's up here, go through AI, and then they're able to do like the budgeting on it. So they're able to put in the cabinets, the hardware, the tile, and you can have it look exactly like you want it to, and with a click of a button, it'll order the cabinets for me.
Sweet.
I like that.
Sweet. Love that. We're gonna talk about that. That's good. I've been doing a lot with AI lately.
Yeah.
Last one.
Uh-oh, bonus time.
Yeah, bonus. So I kind of asked it, but we get sidetracked. So I assume you're ready to go day one. You close, you're starting. 'Cause
Try
you got
to.
big carry costs.
Try to, yeah.
Right. How long does it take to get them done?
It's like 9 months, typically.
Not close to close, close to complete
The
construction.
construction.
Oh, the construction of it? I mean, yeah, so let's backtrack a little bit. So every house that I've ever done over 1.5 million, every single house was a cash purchase on the buy side. So all of those were like 2 to 4 week closes.
Yep.
So once I got them done, I didn't have like these big 60-day, 90-day. The biggest part was like the first month on these big ones is dealing with the city to get those permits. So you end up being in permit hell for so long on these big ones because they're a lot of times they're very complicated. You're doing all kinds of stuff, and the city wants a million different things. So that's what really draws it down. But once my guys get going, I mean, we can get them done in 4 or 5 months. The construction part.
And obviously, you're marketing all along.
Yes.
Well, what is your average time on market? Listed at?
Like actually like actually under contract.
No, actually, yeah. For all the time you are live on the other
Yeah.
ones, the contract.
So the big ones, like I said, for 2 weeks to 4 weeks max because they're cash. So the one I just did in Deep Haven.
Not when you buy it, when you sell it.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Both,
Oh,
yeah.
both ends it's cash. Okay.
They're
No,
buying
no.
From you for cash?
Okay, let me backtrack a little bit. So when I listed for 2 mil,
Yes.
every house I've ever listed for 1.5 mil or more,
The buyer was
the
paying.
buyer has been cash.
Uh-huh.
So I don't have these appraisals. I don't have these like 30, 60, 90-day closes. Every single one has been a cash buyer. And so again, this is a free game, y'all. So when everyone's complaining about interest rates, stocks, who's in the White House, they care about who's in their house. They're like, I already got the bread, I already got the money. I don't care about interest rates. I don't care about stock. I got the bread. So they are a cash buyer. They don't care. They will keep on buying. So then again, when I list it on May 1st, typically I'm closing that in May. Yeah, different. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Different market clientele.
Now, that wasn't something that I necessarily knew
Yeah.
when I got into the luxury flip side.
surprise.
That was like oh, man, these dudes got a lot of money. Now, I'll get you in a second. But the downside to that,
Yeah.
sounds great. I got this cash buyer. They got all this money. Ooh, good for you, Corey. But guess what else they got?
Lawyer.
Oh, who said lawyers? You know what else they got?
Accountants.
Accountants. You know who else they got? Business entrepreneurs. And so a typical showing is legit 6 to 7 people.
Awesome.
Legit.
Little parade.
They might have the family attorney. They might have the accountant. They got their insurance person. They typically have a family member. They typically have like another family member, a mom or dad, and everyone in there is a baller. Everyone in there knows what's going on. And you know what? Half the time, guess who they ask to be there?
You.
Me. They put me in a hot box. Anyways, I could go on and on about that, but
That's a good one.
I think you answered my question. I was gonna ask, are they just paying cash to get the deal, and they're like refinancing later, or if it's actual cash?
I think combo platter. I don't think it's necessarily cash to get the deal, because actually they come in with their cash and they're like, cash is king, and so they want to low ball like everybody.
Sure.
And I'm like, bro, I'll wait it out for someone who can just do the loan, like any good seller. So they're not really coming in to try and like, oh, I'm cash, you should take it, but.
In my experience, when wealthy people pay cash, they're using leverage against their assets that they have with their, like they could have $10 million with Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley will lend them money against their assets at 3% or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like the cheapest money you can get when you borrow against an
Well,
asset
like,
to buy an
does anyone
asset.
in here know what a dynasty trust is? A lot of people are just leveraging their dynasty trust and being their own bank. So instead of selling all their stocks and their assets, they go to the dynasty trust and they get 3-4% and borrow the money.
And then-
That's
Well,
what I've been seeing people
That way
doing.
it affects that.
Yeah.
Because rich people basically borrow from their assets, and so if they don't have to sell, they don't have to pay taxes.
Exactly.
Correct.
And they all use leverage just like everybody else. They
Right.
just don't want to really use their own money. And then every once in a while you'll
They don't have to
catch-
use their own money or get a loan. They can borrow against their
That's what I'm
assets for
saying,
sunny
man.
deals.
So again, that's why I'm playing in that space, because it's a different game. Like, it's not your regular just dealing with realtors flip. I mean, it's a whole nother game at that level. And the thing is, you have to be on point. You have to be like, your knowledge has to be there. You cannot wing it. Especially if they're like, we want you to be there. And you're like, uh-oh. Here we go. Those are some interesting showings.
Daniel?
So, of course, being a real estate agent and investor is different. How do you gain all these investor knowledge yourself?
Experience,
Doing it.
rooms like this, going to every single person and being like, what was your experience? What was your experience? What did you suck at? I don't want to suck at that. Or this is what I sucked at. Y'all better not suck at that. So doing stuff just like this. Showing up, you kill 80% of the people out there just showing up and asking questions. Instead of sitting at home on a computer watching some YouTube video on how to do it. Good for them. They're out in California, bro. That doesn't work here. Go find someone that's in the streets doing it. I hope that was some motivation for you right there. I felt like that was
I agree.
out there.
Mentor. Find somebody who's done what you aspire to do. You would be shocked that most entrepreneurs, especially if they see themselves in the person that they're talking to, they want to help. They would happily take you on. I think that's one of the natural things of this club is a lot of times some of the young guns come in here and get mentored by some of the senior people. I don't see as many of them here today, but what's up, Adam? Do you have a question?
Well, that and, you know, you just got to do it sometimes too, right?
Yeah.
You're going to make mistakes. You got to learn. That's how you learn. You said you learn from experience.
Yep.
That means mistakes, in
Yep.
my opinion. So,
Yeah. Well,
question for you though. Has it always been $1 million flips on Lake Minnetonka? Has it
of
been a
course not,
duplex
man.
in
I
North
wish.
Minneapolis?
I
Like,
wish, man. I was in.
What was the first one? What was the first one?
bottom or what?
Well, the first go round, so going back to like, hey, was it always Lake Minnetonka and just saying yes and learning is, man, I told you I had 7 foreclosures. You know, so that was houses that I bought that I sucked at and I didn't have mentorship and I just didn't know my numbers, didn't analyze them well. Part of it was the economy, 08, 09, so that sucked, you know, I got unlucky there. But when I first started out, it was a lot of North Minneapolis. That's where I'm from, that's where I grew up. So I cut my teeth on North Minneapolis. So yeah, a lot of duplexes over there, a lot of rental properties, a lot of headache, a lot of heartache. And then it's like anything, you start doing it, you say yes, and the worst way to learn, in my opinion, is by doing and making a mistake. I should have had a lender, a mentor. I should have reached out to somebody that was doing it. I just didn't do that. I was too full of myself at the time to look in the mirror and be like, Corey, you need some help. And then when I got humbled, I was like, dang, bro, you got to get around some better people, man. You need to get around some real people. So I started doing that. But yeah, it was the classic Monopoly game. Everybody in here knows Monopoly, right? That better be like a full participation. Everyone knows Monopoly,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Yeah.
Literally, that's all I did. Is I started with like single family flips, then did a couple more single family flips, then bought houses, I bought duplexes, then I did bigger flips and got 4 units, then bigger flips, got 6 units, then multi-million-dollar flips, and now I buy apartment buildings. I hope that answered it.
Yes, thank you.
Monopoly.
It's
And
a
Monopoly
it's a
was like the best
progression,
one.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but how I got to and this is the reality of how I got to the $1 million space. So I always dreamed about doing like everybody. Everyone's got a dream. I want to own 1,000 doors. I want to have all these Airbnbs, you know, fill in the blank. I want to flip a house on Lake Minnetonka. That was just a dream. I didn't think it was going to be a real business, but it was just a dream. But I met someone who was doing really high-end flips, really good flips. And at the point in my career, I had done hundreds of flips, mid-grade, small grade, kind of dabbled in like 600,000-700,000, but I had never done multi-million-dollar. So guess what I did? Strategic partnership. Hey, I want to come work with you. You're doing the flips. How can I add value to you? And for 3 years, I just told you, I've done hundreds of flips, built a crazy real estate business. I was a grunt worker. I was the one in the back of the bus being like, you show me the way. And that's how I learned the $1 million flip space. And she's like one of the best designers I've ever met. And she blew my mind on how to actually run a big multi-million-dollar flip. To the point where we would do tile in a bathroom. And on the floor it looked cool, in the store it looked cool, in our head it looked cool. And then we got there and we spent $12,000 on this tile job. And she was like, that's not the right color. And I'm like, okay, great. So? And she's like, no, it's not the right color. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's too late now. It's on the wall. She's like, no, it's not the right color. Take it down. And she would rip that whole thing down, start over from ground one. Be like, nope, we got to do a whole different tile, back to the drawing board. But every single time we listed the house, guess what would happen? The buyer comes in, they go to the bathroom, and they're like, yo, that tile's dope. I want to buy it. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, you're right. Dang, you're right.
trust and experience. So, got it.
Yeah.
Would anybody else like to ask any questions?
Are you ever wholesaling stuff that you don't want to buy? And as far as like anything that's not in your location or whatnot, and then are you like ever 1031 some of these flips into apartment
Good.
buildings, or is the depreciation from commercial enough to like offset some of the cap gains on your flips?
Good questions there. We'll unpack all of those. We'll
Yeah,
unpack all of them.
those are good questions.
Yeah,
too.
those are all good ones. So let's start with the wholesaling. Yes. Do I come across properties that aren't in my buy box that I end up partnering with other people or bringing other investors to buy them? Yes, 100%. I think I've done like 30 of those already this year. Maybe not that many, 20. So yes, definitely do that. As far as 1031ing, yes, I do 1031s. The problem is on a flip, you cannot 1031 a flip. That's the downside to flips. There's no way around it. You have to have a property rented for at least 9 months to do a 1031 exchange. So on all my apartment buildings, when I sell those, 100% 1031 them. On the flips, can't. So you just got to take the hit. But how I offset that is by buying those apartment buildings and doing a cost seg on that building. That's how I'm able to get my taxes down.
Awesome.
I always got questions. So, got those things in my head that maybe everybody does. They're like about luxury real estate. It seems like they're facts, but maybe they're not. So one of them is luxury real estate buyers just wouldn't tear off anything anyway and make it their own. So what's the point of doing all the stuff you're doing? And the second one is the luxury real estate sits in the market a lot longer. So
Yeah, so first part of that question, the myth of most luxury buyers want to come in and just rip it all out anyway. Is that true or not? Is that the question?
that's what I see on TV.
Yeah. And that is actually fact. So I sold a house in North Oaks, 2.4 million cash. I spent probably a good 120,000 on a kitchen remodel. Day one, they ripped it out. The whole thing.
So
Another one in this.
Go get it back.
This one in Deep Haven.
Back.
This one in Deep Haven, they were back to the like group showing where we're doing the whole song and dance, and I'm tiptoeing like, what can I say? What can I not say? You know, I just want to get this thing over with. And literally the wife was like, we're gonna buy this house. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, let's get it. I got this.
Got this part of it.
Literally, she's like, honey, we're gonna buy this. We got this. But day one, this bathroom, all that's gone. They ripped out the whole bathroom. I spent like 30 G's on that. I was like, I heard them talking, and I was like, hey, as long as we get the contract signed, we're good. I'm like, man, can I come back and get that vanity? I made a joke, but I was actually being serious. I was like, hey, can I come back and get that vanity? Man, before closing, I'll take it out for you. You ain't got to rip it out.
I got a funny story about that too, Igor. I built a house on a golf course in Midland Hills in Roseville. Ground up construction, beautiful house. My business partner at the time, who was a general contractor, he was ahead of his time. He was like, we got to get the gold in here, right? Now gold is popular,
It's here,
but this was before that.
Yep.
And he did like a little bit of an edgy countertop that was made of leather granite, so it wasn't like sealed the way that granite usually is. It was kind of like soft and porous or whatever. We put this house together. We only had one showing the entire time the house was on the market, and it was a Delta executive. And they came in and they go, I like the house, but I'll take it if you just replace all the gold with nickel and get that leather granite countertop out of there and replace it with like white quartz. It would have cost us a quarter as much to do what she did, and I had to trash all that shit, same as you.
But
$25,000 down the fucking drain because this lady had bad taste.
But you said, all right, back to why do it? Why do the kitchen anyway?
people have no imagination and don't
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
100%.
yep. So why do the kitchen anyway? That's it right there. A lot of times they have no imagination. And why do they sit on the market? So this is some real game right here, and I hope everyone hears me on this one. This is like the best jewel of the night right here is when it comes to luxury flip. A lot of us flippers, we're just buying a house based on numbers, right? I'm buying my $200,000 house in Robbinsdale Crystal, and I'm selling it for $400. That's it. right? And you're like, I'm gonna sell it. Most people that get into a higher end flip, they typically just go for a big house. They think big is luxury. They think more square footage is luxury. So then they just buy a big old house in a random Plymouth neighborhood. Great. You're in a random Plymouth neighborhood. You have no draw other than your house is big. No one cares. People would rather have a smaller house that is designed really, really well in a really dope location that has a draw on it, i.e. Lake Minnetonka, or a golf course, or a parkway, or a plot of land, or a farmhouse. If you get in the luxury flip space, you have to say, what is the draw that separates me from all these other houses? Is there something outside of just the house that's gonna have someone show up? And again, that's why I love Lake Minnetonka, because no matter what you do on Lake Minnetonka, you are at the top of the game in Minnesota. There is no other neighborhood space you can go to. You can tell me Dinah, you can tell me North Oaks, you can tell me all that, but it is Lake Minnetonka. That is the #1 draw where you can set a number.
So unique is not sitting on the market for sale? Or?
So if you have a draw like a golf course or Lake Minnetonka or something like this, and it's done right, now that's the other part. If it's designed right and you have that draw, it'll sell right away.
Okay.
And they will rip out your kitchen.
Talking about the draw thing, if you guys aren't following Corey on social media, go follow him. He's talking about these Lake Minnetonka ground ups that he's about to do. He does a great job of showing you along the way, like the Minnetonka house. Hey, it's roof day. Like,
Yep.
I sat and watched the video. Like, what's happening on roof day? Like,
Yeah.
it's fun to see what's going on. He talks about, like, when do I start selling it? He's posted videos as it's still a dump. Like, who's gonna buy this?
Yeah.
It's gonna be done. And if
Yep.
if you've seen what he's done prior to, people like to watch that because they're like, oh, I can't wait to see the prize at the end.
Yeah,
It's like
and
watching kids
if you look at every house I've ever sold, you'll see right away that it's been something really dope. There's been a draw to that house. Outside of the dope house, there's been something there that brought people in the door, you know. But I don't know if you got another question. One thing I do want to stress, we're talking about luxury flips. It's great. It has the sizzle, right? Awesome. Good for you, Corey. You're doing all these great flips. I want to dream to do that too, right? The reality is it's really cool. It's sexy and all that. But you will never, ever become wealthy doing flips. You will not become wealthy doing flips. The only reason that I keep scaling the flips, the only reason is not to build wealth, is to create capital. Capital to put that money to work in stocks, holds, apartment buildings, other businesses. Passive income is where you make the wealth. Getting as many passive income streams as you possibly can, and then figuring out how to not pay taxes on it. That is where you create wealth. So even though I'm sitting up here saying luxury flips is so sexy, and yes, I make $500,000 a flip, but you will not be wealthy because it's super active. You have to be there. You have to be on site. You can't just hand it over and say, hey, go make it look pretty. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but that is not how you can create wealth. So I want to stress that more and more and more to be like, it is really dope to do flips, even the smaller ones, but making your 30, 40, 50 on a flip will not get you wealthy. Anyways.
I would agree with that. And it's very hard to have someone else do it for you as well. They'll never make you money.
So you got a very big presence on social media, and you talked about cheap flips. Do you talk about the backside of it too, where you talk about making wealth? You say what you're doing to
100%. But you know, I'm not stepping on his touchdown call, so I'm not trying to. But I'm gonna talk about Legacy Wealth Group for a minute. So I run a community called Legacy Wealth Group, where we go deep on how to actually build the wealth. Yeah. That's what we really do. Social media sucks. I hate it. Just so you know, everyone in this room, I hate social media. Maddie B knows, I talk about that all the time. It is the fakest place in the entire world. It is dumpster fire fake. Everyone talks about how their kid is this amazing star, and they show the one video where they made a shot and they went 1 for 20. You're like, look at Johnny, he's so great at basketball. You're lying. Show his bricks, right? Same thing goes for wealth. If I hop on social media and I say, hey man, you know what wealth is about? It's about getting really boring and owning that apartment building that has all kinds of problems. Come follow me. I'm out. Hey, I'm on Lake Minnetonka doing these flips in the boats. What's up? Oh, Corey's the man. Let's get it.
We've talked about that. Got to sell the sizzle. That's why I reached out to you. You were already sizzling.
So yes, I do, but you don't see it in the algorithms. You don't get it because no one's commenting on it. No one's liking it. No one's resharing like, hey, you got to create a dynasty trust and put whole life insurance in there, and then put your Tesla and your
Yeah.
Amazon in the stock account and refinance
Be
it.
sure to do your cost seg.
Make sure you do your cost seg. I'm gonna do a 3-hour video on what cost seg means because I don't even know what it means. Give me a like. See, you're already bored. You're like, man, I'm sorry I asked.
I would follow.
I'll do the boring stuff then, all right?
Yeah. So I do the boring stuff, but it gets no publicity at all. But that's what Legacy Wealth Group is for, is to be like, hey, once you come through the sizzle and you get through that barrier of like the cool, now it's like, let's really build a plan on how to create wealth. All right.
Well, we have, anybody else have any other questions that they'd like to ask before we move on to the kind of like who we are, what our thing is here?
I'll get some water.
Okay. All right. Well, we can start over here then. Corey already got a chance to speak ad nauseum here. So, Gene, you want to start?